It's 5 ways how you can save a lot of money whilst you live in a van. Tricks and tips to save you anything from pennies to hundreds of pounds every month. And that's completely based off my own experience. Various ways on how I basically waste some money when I don't really need to. Things that you can do and things that you can stop doing. Oh, and this video is sponsored by EBL. More on them later. I waste money like there's no tomorrow. Stupid things like coffee pods for my coffee machine, batteries for my camera and my Max Airflow remote control, stupid disposable vapes and gimmicky junks that I just don't need. But without a shadow of a doubt, my biggest expenditure, the thing I spend the most money on when I don't really need to, and it's quite simple, it's fuel. I spend a stupid amount of money on fuel. One, because I like to be a flighty person, so if I've got a few days off my employment, I'll go to Snowdonia. A few extra days off the next week, I'll go up to the Lake District. If I decide to just locate in one specific area, get my work in Snowdonia and spend a month there, I will save a stupid amount of money on fuel. If I just drive a little bit more sensible, slower acceleration, slower decelerating, reduce my sharp braking, just creep up to the max speed I want to go, reduce my max speed down ever so slightly, just drive economical, that'll save me a fortune. Currently at the moment, once a week, I'm parking up in a campsite. Now that's solely so that I can recharge some electrics, I can recharge all my water supply, I can just recharge the van back up to being able to live off grid for another week. The problem with that, it costs around about £80 a month in just site fees to be able to sort the van out. If I spent 2 months worth of that site fees to buy myself another battery to go in my battery bank, I'll be able to keep this van charged up for a lot longer, saving me a lot of money in the long run. But while we're talking about charging, instead of paying to go somewhere to charge up all your leisure batteries on the van or to charge your campsite fees to get you charging, why not just go solar power? We're coming up close to the summer in the UK, so the solar is going to be massively important. I'm going to be putting it on this van. The reason I've not done it yet is because I've not decided whether to go for a roof rack with the solar panels on or solar panels straight onto the roof. I've just not decided yet. I really want the mule van's roof rack. I just can't stomach £2,500 to be able to get it. I've got my power bank down there, and when the sun's out I can charge it through solar power from the portable solar panels that I've got underneath my bed. And while staying on charging, let's talk about the EBL battery charger and batteries. You see, because I use a lot of batteries within Vanlife, and that's solely for my filming equipment, my gimbal, my camera, and I've got a few other little bits and pieces kicking around that use traditional batteries. That's the traditional AA and AAA batteries. Well, it become very expensive. I got fed up with those batteries not being good enough to support that camera. The general, you'd think Panasonic, or back in my day, Panasonic were the best. So you'd start buying them. They're not that cheap, they're nice and expensive, but then they'd only work for about 12 minutes worth of filming, and it wasn't good enough for me. No matter what batteries I used, they were just never that good. It was all down to the milliamp hour. Now the milliamp hour compares to the storage that's inside that battery. How much energy can be stored and given out through that battery. Your standard Panasonics are around about 800 to 1600 depending on what you want to spend. These EBL rechargeable batteries are 2300. The higher the milliamp hour you can get, the better. The best thing with these, they're fully rechargeable. And you'd think that they were dead expensive, but they're really not. These are the same price as what you'd pay for bog standard good quality batteries that are just single use, but these are fully rechargeable in the EBL smart charger. So for the price of decent batteries, you get decent batteries, except these ones you can recharge. They're stupid proof, so they're great for me. On one side you've got a negative, on one side you've got a positive. On the charger, one side you've got a positive, the other side you've got a negative. Match them up together, click them in, perfect. You've even got AAA batteries. They're exactly the same, 800 milliamp, which is mega for AAA batteries, and they use the exact same charger down the bottom. So you match up the plus and the plus, the minus and the minus, clip them in together, done. You can charge 8 batteries at once in the solar charge controller. You've got indicators on the top to be telling you when they're fully charged, when they're not fully charged. You get the plug-in cable. Now this is your bog standard AC 240 volt plug. So I'm going to plug that into my power bank and start them charging. Lights come on one colour for a second, another colour for a second, as you've just seen just there. And then when the lights go completely green, that's when they're fully charged. What makes these batteries good compared to other brands is this one can work in temperatures as -10 all the way up to 50 degrees. And we all know the temperature fluctuations we get in van life, especially if you're living in a van all year round. And talk about safety as well, they're safe. If you accidentally put a battery in the wrong way, it just won't charge that one battery. It won't cause any issues, it just won't charge it. It won't overcook a battery and blow it up. It won't overheat it or do anything like that. They just sit there perfectly fine, heating. They've been on for about an hour now, and there is absolutely no temperature coming from them at all. These are going to help me out, especially when I go off grid, up in the mountains somewhere. I can just go for a hike, stick my 8 batteries in there, couple in the camera, and just swap them out as and when I need to, if I so feel the need to. The hard case will just sit in my backpack nicely. It's not big, it's not bulky, and it's definitely not heavy. I've added loads of Amazon links in the description down below. Go and check them out if you want to check them out for yourself. No longer am I going to have to keep hold of the batteries until I find a battery recycling point to be able to recycle the old ones. I can just keep recharging these over and over and over again. For the same price as disposable top brand batteries, you can get the EBL battery charger and the 8 batteries that go along with it for the same price. You'll never need to buy batteries ever again, whether you're using them in your home, your van, absolutely anywhere. EBL smart charger. Thank you EBL for sponsoring this video. Saved me an absolute fortune in continuously buying good quality batteries. But while we're talking about saving money, a lot of people spend a lot of money on campsite fees, which is all well and good. You're giving back to that local community. But if you really are strapped for cash, why not go off-grid? Off-grid is where you set your camper van so it doesn't need to be plugged into an electric hookup. It doesn't need to have local facilities like water, chemical waste disposal, all that sort of stuff. Quite simply, you find a park up in an area that you want to go to that's free. But you have to treat that area with respect. You see, van life off-grid is becoming more and more difficult, with everywhere saying no. We've had such bad experiences, we're going to stick signs up to say no overnight camping, no overnight sleeping in vehicles, you're not allowed to park here, no camper vans, no all that sort of stuff. So if we treat an area that we find with the utmost respect, that area is not going to get one of those signs. If you've been watching my channel for some time, you'll know there's a few things that I like to do throughout my local spots, the spots that I find. Number one, I really enjoy litter picking and clearing that area, making sure that area is cleaner than when I first got there. Number two, I have wildflower seeds, a big box of these. This box cost me £2.50 from Wilkinson's, and every time I leave a spot, I just crack it open, sprinkle a few wild seeds around, and that area starts looking prettier than when I left it originally. So I will turn up a year later and the whole place will be full of wildflowers. That's good for the local community, it's good for the wildlife, it's good for the bees. What more can you want? Totally off-grid, you lay by the laws of the land. Don't have loud music and blazing all night long. Don't have parties while you're sat in a lay-by. If you want to do that sort of stuff, go to a campsite that allows that sort of stuff. Do not make it so the locals hate you being there for stupid reasons. These stupid reasons you can eliminate yourself and not give us all a bad name. You think if somebody sticks a sign up in that area that we can't stop there, they then have the power to issue parking tickets, issue clamps, do all this sort of stuff that we don't want in van life. If you guys do anything to sort of help the local community out, or to make a spot look better than when you left it, let us know in the comments. I kind of want to know what you guys do as well. That way anybody who's thinking about coming into van life can go down there and just see the sort of code of practice that everybody tends to follow. You can find those sort of spots, those free little laybys, the free little nooks and crannies on various apps. If you're new around, go to Park for Night. It's the sort of beginner's guide to finding local spots. Or I tend to go on Google Maps, find local spots and go onto Street View and see what's there, see if there's any signs or height restrictions, and I go from there. Here's a creative way of saving a bit of money long term. If you've got yourself quite a lot of clothes, you tend to think people who live in the van don't have that many clothes. Nah, it's the other way around. We've got loads of clothes to save on the laundry bill over and over again. Now granted, you can go and do your laundry with your eco-friendly detergent and stuff in the local rivers and whatever. I tend to steer clear of that, and I go to, do you know, the petrol stations that have got the washing machines kicking there? Every now and then I'll just go into them, dip in, after all my clothes are dirty, get them all washed along with my bedding and my curtains and stuff like that, get it all done in one big wash. If you do decide to go off grid permanently, Just make sure you've got a lot of ways of charging your leisure batteries. Solar panels on the roof, it's a great way to charge. If you're just planning on stopping in one place for however long, you need to have alternative charging that's not your DC to DC charger or your split charge. Solar panels are the best way to do it. Bigger solar panels, more wattage, coming straight down into your van, into your solar charge control unit, straight into your batteries. Who doesn't love free electricity? I know fully that I've done way more than 5 ways of saving tips in this video, but hey, it made a good title. But let's give you one more. Now this one is for the people who are converting their vans at the minute, ready to live in full time. Do not scrimp on your insulation. Through the winter, you want to use less fuel to be able, and less electricity and energy to be able to run your diesel heater. If you've got good insulation throughout your entire van, you won't need to have your heating on for as long. And one last one while I'm here, reduce the weight inside your van. So if you've got something in your boot that's pretty pointless that you don't normally use, get rid of it. Just get rid of it. I had a kayak in the back of there, I've never used it once. I was 13 kilos. Poof, gone, out the way. Better on fuel economy now. Now you may have noticed this whole video was filmed inside the camper van. Now that's solely because it's absolutely chucking it down outside. I might melt if I go outside. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you're new around here, peace out. Thanks to EBL for sponsoring this video. All the links are in the description down below.